Hello and welcome to Jeff's Pianist Academy. Today we're exploring a fascinating genre in classical music, the ballad. You might have heard of ballads in poetry or songs, but what exactly is a piano ballad and what makes it so unique? Let's dive in and explore its origins and its different forms. The ballad originally comes from medieval France, where it meant the dance song, and later this term was used for narrative poems telling the stories about heroism, mystery, and tragedy. These poems were passed orally and they were designed to captivate listeners. Music, some of the earliest ballads came from Schubert. Just think of his Erlkönig. This is the best way to kill your right hand. Also, Karl Löwe composed great ballades for voice and piano, for example, like Herr Oluf. A small note on pronunciation of this word. We have a ballade and ballad. In musical context, when speaking about Chopin's ballades, we usually would use ballade, and when speaking about the English poems, we say ballad. So far I understood, so I hope it will not be too confusing, but because we speak about the poetry and at the same time we speak about the music, and ballade is more a French term, ballad is an English term, they're both widely used. The ballad as an instrumental genre developed in the 19th century, especially with composers like Chopin. But unlike the literary ballads, these instrumental ballads have no storyline or lyrics. Instead, they convey this sense of narrative through the musical contrast and dramatic shifts. Chopin's second ballad has this lyrical, very soft theme at the beginning in F major. And the contrasting, stormy and dramatic A minor theme. Very interesting detail about this ballad is that it ends in A minor. It starts in F major and ends in E minor. For our times, it's normal, it's nothing special. Back to Chopin's time, it was something very unusual, and it shows you how dramatic this work actually is, that it leads this theme to another tonality. There is no direct evidence that Chopin based his ballads on specific stories. It's suggested that maybe he was inspired by the poet Adam Mickiewicz, who was a close friend of him, but Chopin himself never confirmed this connection, so we don't know. Ballades take on various forms, and composers interpret them in different ways. Some ballads are tied to a specific story or program, while others are purely instrumental explorations and they have no defined narrative. But historically, many composers of ballads found inspiration in literature, even though not all ballads are explicitly tied to a specific story. Here are a few examples of ballads that may carry a literary background or programmatic elements. Brahms' Ballade number 1 takes its direct influence from the Scottish ballad. So you see here we say ballad, or I say ballad. If there are any language professors here, please write me in the comments how would you pronounce ballad or ballad concerning musical and poetry spheres. And the structure of this composition is almost like a conversation. Brahms chose a very dark story for his ballade, where a son ultimately confesses to killing his father under his mother's influence. Brahms was a young student when he composed his Ballade No. 1, and by this time he mostly composed piano works. It's totally different with his duet, Edward, Opus 75, which was composed 1877. He was already a mature composer with a lot of symphonic and choral works behind him. So it's a totally different approach, but what I like about this, we can still hear this Edward question of the mother of Edward, and you can see it both in his piano work and also in his vocal composition. Edvard Grieg's Ballade in G minor is a sort of musical monument to his Norwegian heritage, and maybe it's also a reflection on the loss of his parents. Based on a Norwegian folk song from the 16th century, the piece takes the form of a theme and variations. Grieg's connection to his homeland and his personal grief add emotional weight to the ballad, which can be heard as a program of memory and reflection. The melancholy and dramatic shifts evoke the landscapes and the cultural spirit of Norway, which was a constant source of inspiration for Grieg. You can find ballades by different composers, and every of them is different. The form is different, the length is different, the program is different. And of course, if Debussy is composing a ballade, it sounds like an impressionistic work. And I'm pretty sure this was not the last time we were speaking about ballades here on Jeff's Pianist Academy. I might prepare you a tutorial either for Brahms or Chopin's ballade. These are gorgeous compositions, and each of them deserves a lot of time. Thanks for watching. I always love to read your comments and appreciate your likes. Thank you for your time, and see you in next video.